my name is Jenny. This is going to be a 45-minute Vinyasa flow class. We're going to start seated, so go ahead and make your way to a comfortable seated position on your mat. You can be cross-legged or whatever's comfortable for you. Maybe your hands are resting on your knees. Start to close your eyes and start to tune into your breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Yogi breath or Ujjayi breath is in and out through the nose, and with your exhales, keeping a slight constriction at the back of your throat. It should start to sound like ocean waves. As you're breathing here, maybe you decide to set an intention for your class today. This could be any word or phrase that you'd like to focus on a little bit more today. My intention for today's class is peace. If you can't think of your own, feel free to use mine. Go ahead and take 2 more deep breaths here, in and out through the nose. And with your next inhale, bringing your arms up overhead, fingertips towards the sky. And with your exhale, dropping your left arm down beside you, coming to your hand or your forearm on the ground beside you, reaching your other arm over your head, making sure your shoulders are stacked, keeping both sits bones on the mat. Gaze can be towards your bottom hand or your top hand. Continuing to breathe here, in and out through the nose. And with your next inhale, coming back up to center, arms overhead. And exhale, dropping down to the other side, to your hand or your forearm. Again, making sure your shoulders are stacked. And keeping both hips planted. Feeling the stretch in your side body. With your next inhale, coming back up to center, arms overhead. As you exhale, twisting to the left side, bringing your hand to the outside of your knee, and bring your other hand to fingertips behind you. As you inhale, start to lengthen your spine, sitting up tall. And as you exhale, starting to twist a little bit more, making sure not to push yourself too far. Continuing to let your inhales lengthen your spine, and your exhales deepen the twist. Your gaze can come behind you. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. Inhale, coming back to center, arms reach overhead. Exhale, twisting to the other side, bringing your hand to the outside of your knee and coming to fingertips behind you. Inhaling to lengthen your spine and exhaling to twist. Two more deep breaths. And inhale, coming back to center. We're going to make our way to a child's pose. So coming to about the middle of your mat. Your knees can be narrow here, or they can be about as wide as your mat. Whatever's comfortable for you. Bring your hips towards your heels. Maybe walking the hands out in front of you, letting your head rest on the mat. Maybe rocking your head side to side, giving your forehead a massage. Feel free to come back to this pose at any point throughout our class today. If you ever need a moment of rest or reset, With your next inhale, rising up onto your hands and knees, coming into tabletop, making sure that your shoulders are right over your wrists and your knees are right under your hips. Your back is parallel to the mat, pressing into your fingertips. And as you inhale, we're going to drop the belly. Gaze comes forward for cow. And as you inhale, rounding out the spine, gaze comes towards your knees. Belly button comes in towards the spine for cat. Inhale, coming back to cow. And exhaling to cat. Continue flowing through these two poses, following your own breath. It's okay if you're not going the same pace as I am. Exhaling for cat and inhaling for cow. Starting to warm up your spine and your core. Taking whatever you need out of these poses. Go ahead and take one more of each pose. And whenever you're ready, meeting me back in tabletop with a flat back. And once you're in tabletop, starting to send your weight into your left hand and reaching up with your right hand, having it come parallel to the mat, and then lifting up your opposite leg so you're in one straight line. Gaze is at the mat here. And as you exhale, maybe you bring in your knee and your elbow, maybe they come to touch. Inhale to lengthen out. Exhale to crunch in, knee to elbow. Again, flowing through these, following your own breath. Inhaling to extend and exhaling to crunch. Continuing to warm up your core. Starting to engage your abs. Remembering to breathe. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. Let's go for one more. And then exhale, returning that hand and knee to the mat. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, lifting up that other hand and leg. Taking a moment to get your balance. Gaze at the mat. Pressing into the fingertips of your bottom hand. And when you're ready, exhaling to crunch in, bringing the knee towards your elbow, and inhaling to extend. Following your breath here, engaging your core, going at your own pace. Let's do one more. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, back to the mat. And from here, we're going to press into our hands, tucking the back toes under, and lifting the hips up for downward dog. Feet and hands are shoulder width and hip distance apart. Taking a second to pedal out your feet here, bending one knee and dropping the other heel. Remembering to breathe, feeling the stretch in your hamstrings, letting your exhales relax you. And then quieting that movement. You're going to tiptoe up to the top of the mat. Coming into a forward fold here. With your feet hip distance apart, keeping a generous bend in your knees. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows with your hands, letting your head hang heavy, releasing the tension in your neck. Maybe adding a gentle swing. Starting to let go of anything that might be on your mind. And then releasing those elbows if you grab them. Slowly rising up, one vertebrae at a time. Arms coming overhead for a tall mountain. Option for a mini back bend here. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, folding again here. Inhaling, coming to halfway lift, flat back, either to fingertips or pressing the palms into your shins. Exhale, planting the hands on the mat and stepping your feet back into a plank position. Option to drop the knees here. And keeping your elbows glued in towards your body, starting to bend them, lowering down in one straight line for chaturanga. Inhale, coming to a back bend here. Maybe you just lift your chest for baby cobra, or you come to full cobra, or for upward facing dog, peeling the tops of your legs off of the mat and pressing it to your feet. And then meeting me back in downward dog. That was our first vinyasa of this class. We'll be taking that several times. But always feel free to take a child's pose or take a sip of water while we're doing that. Taking one more breath here in downward dog. And when you're ready, inhaling your right leg up for three-legged dog. Keeping the hips square towards the mat. And exhale, sending it forward between your hands. Keeping your back knee up or option to lower it down here. Planting your left hand and reaching your right hand up for a twist. Continuing to breathe in and out through your nose. Exhale, dropping that hand back down. If your back knee is still lifted, dropping it down to the mat. And inhaling to lift your arms overhead. Pressing your shoulders down. Coming into this low lunge. Maybe you feel a stretch in the front of your hip flexor here. With your next exhale, setting your hips back and flexing your front foot here, coming to fingertips on either side of that leg. Feeling a stretch in the back of your leg, your hamstrings. Keeping your spine long here. Maybe bending forward slightly to deepen that stretch. As you inhale, coming back to that low lunge. And exhale, coming back to the half split. Flowing through these two poses, following your breath, maybe lingering in the places that you need to stretch a little bit more today. Letting your inhales energize you, and your exhales relax your muscles and your mind. Taking one more of each. And meeting me back in this low lunge. Planting your hands on either side of your front foot, tucking those back toes under and lifting up that back knee. Pivoting the back heel at a 90-degree angle, making sure that your front heel is lined up with the middle of your back foot. Inhaling to rise up into warrior two. Arms are strong in front of you and behind you. Gaze is over your front fingers, making sure you can still see your big toes over your knee. Breathing here, gaining strength from this pose. And as you inhale, flipping that front hand over and reversing your warrior. Maybe your back arm comes to your leg, just making sure it's not on your knee, or maybe it wraps behind you. Bringing your front arm overhead. Gaze is lifted up towards that hand. Making sure your front knee is still bended. Inhale, coming back to warrior two. Shoulders down. And as you exhale, bring your front forearm to the top of your front thigh and reaching that back arm over your ear for extended side angle. Gaze is straight out towards the side. Taking one more breath here. And inhale, coming back to warrior two. We're gonna straighten that front leg. Maybe you shorten your stance a little bit. Keeping your arms extended here, sending the hips slightly back, reaching forward with your fingers, and lowering into triangle. Making sure to keep a micro bend in your front knee so it doesn't lock out. Bringing your arms to a straight vertical line. Maybe your gaze comes up to your top hand. Your bottom hand can be resting on your ankle, or maybe it floats to the inside of your ankle. Taking one more breath here. And inhaling back to warrior two. Inhale. And exhale, let it go. Straighten that front leg again and turning your front foot so it matches your back foot. Your toes pointing towards the wide edge of your mat. We're going to come to a wide-legged forward fold here. So maybe bring your hands to your hips and starting to hinge forward from the hips. Keeping your back flat. Maybe your fingertips come towards the mat. Maybe you widen your stance a little bit or shorten it. There are a lot of options for this pose. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you start to walk your fingers back towards the other edge of your mat. Maybe you walk your hands to one foot. And then maybe walking them to the other foot. Taking 3 more deep breaths here, wherever you are. Maybe you're feeling opening in the backs of your legs. Releasing the tension in your neck. Letting your exhales relax your body. And with your next inhale, bring your hands back to your hips and rising back up slowly. Pointing that foot back to the top of your mat and hopping your back foot up to meet your front. Bring your feet to a hip distance apart. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale to fold. Taking your choice of a vinyasa or a child's pose. Or maybe taking this time to grab a sip of water. Taking one more breath wherever you are. And then meeting me back in a downward dog. With your next inhale, lifting that left leg, or whatever opposite of what you did last time. Keeping your hips squared towards the mat in three-legged dog. Exhale to send it forward between your hands. I'm going to switch around here. Coming into a high or a low lunge, option to drop that back knee. Planting your right hand on the inside of your foot and lifting up your other hand to the sky, breathing into a twist. Gaze comes up with your fingertips. As you inhale positivity and exhale negativity. Exhale, bringing that hand back down to the mat. And if your back knee is still lifted, just dropping it down. Inhaling your hands overhead, coming to a low lunge. Making sure your knee is right above your ankle. Gaze is lifted. And exhale, sending your hips back, straightening the front leg, flexing that foot, keeping the spine lengthened. Fingertips come to the mat on either side of the leg. Feeling an opening in the back of this leg and your hamstrings. Inhaling to come back to low lunge. And exhaling for half split. Flowing through these two poses. Breathing into each stretch. Taking whatever your body might need from each pose. Maybe it's a little bit of energy. Maybe it's a stretch and a moment of rest. Taking one more of each. And whenever you're ready, meeting me back in a low lunge. Putting your hands back on the mat, tucking those back toes under, and pivoting that back foot so the middle of your foot is lined up with your heel. Inhaling to rise up into warrior two, making sure you can still see your big toes over your knee. Arms are strong in front of you and behind you. Shoulders pressing down. Gaze over your front fingers. And then flipping that front hand over and exhaling to reverse your warrior. That front hand coming over your head behind you. Continuing to breathe here, making sure there's still a bend in your front leg. Inhale back to warrior two. And exhale, coming forward to extended side angle. Stacking your shoulders here and reaching those top fingers forward. Inhale back to warrior two. Straighten that front leg, maybe shortening your stance a little bit. Sending your hips slightly back, reaching forward, and coming into triangle. Keeping a micro bend in that front leg. Bring your hand to your ankle or to float on the inside of your foot. Gazing up with your top fingertips. Continuing to breathe in and out through the nose. Inhaling back to warrior two. And exhale, straighten that leg again. Turning your feet so your toes are pointing towards the wide edge of your mat. Coming to another wide-legged forward folds. Hinging forward at your hips. Maybe planting your hands on the mat. Maybe taking the same options that you did before, or maybe trying something new. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. And then bring your hands back to your hips to rise back up. Pointing your toes back towards the front of your mat and hopping your back leg to meet your front. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale, folds. Taking your choice of Vinyasa, child's pose, or a sip of water. And whenever you're ready, meet me back in downward dog. As you inhale, we're going to lift the right leg up into three-legged dog. And exhale, sending it forward between your hands. Keeping your back toes tucked, staying in a high lunge here. Inhaling the arms overhead, making sure your knee is right over your ankle. Taking one breath here. And then with your next exhale, bringing the arms to cactus and bending your back leg. Maybe it touches the mat, or maybe it just comes to float. Bring your shoulder blades in towards each other, keeping a 90-degree bend in your elbows. As you inhale, coming back to that high lunge, arms lifted overhead. Exhale, bending. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, extend. Let's go for 2 more dips here. Exhaling to lower down. Inhaling to rise back up. And then start to send your weight into your front foot. Maybe starting to lift that back foot up. And we're going to bring it forward. Maybe you grab your knee here, gazing straight forward at a stationary object to give you balance. Maybe your hands come to prayer, or maybe they stay lifted. Taking whatever option gives you the balance you need today. Staying here, or for an added challenge, coming into warrior three, pressing that back heel towards the back of the room, and hinging forward. Keeping your body in one straight line. Playing with your balance here, it's okay if you fall out. I always do too. Gazing down at the ground. Maybe your arms come back to airplane arms or forward. Taking one more breath. And then dropping that foot down to the mat. Shaking out your legs. And then bringing your feet back to hip distance. Inhaling to tall mountain. Exhale, fold. Taking another Vinyasa here, or maybe a child's pose. wherever you are, meeting me back in a downward dog. This time inhaling that left leg up to three-legged dog, keeping the hips squared. Exhale, sending it forward. Coming to a high lunge here. Making sure your knee is over your ankle. Keeping those back toes tucked under. Inhaling the arms overhead. And with your next exhale, coming into that cactus arm knee dip. Inhaling, arms back up. Exhaling to lower. Bring your shoulder blades in towards each other. Following your breath here. Exhale to dip. Inhale to rise. Let's go for 2 more. Challenge yourself here. You are strong. And coming back to that low lunge. Sending your weight into your front foot. Hopping that back foot up and bringing it forward. Maybe you grab your knee with your hands. Maybe they stay lifted. Maybe they come to prayer. Gazing forward to keep your balance. Maybe staying here, or option to come to warrior 3. Bringing your gaze to the earth. Sending energy towards your back heel. Maybe a little bit of a bend in your standing leg. Keeping your chest lifted. Taking one more breath. And exhaling to lower down. Shaking out your legs. And inhaling your arms overhead. Taking one more Vinyasa. Maybe making it your best Vinyasa of this class. Or again, option to take a child's pose. And wherever you are, we're going to make our way to a child's pose. Bring your knees towards the mat. Maybe bring your legs wide, or keeping them narrow. Sending your hips back towards your heels. Forehead rests on the mat. Maybe your fingertips are reaching forward, or maybe your fingers point towards the back of the mat on either side of your body. As you inhale and exhale, feeling your belly expand and contract onto your thighs. And with your next inhale, lifting your chest up. And we're going to swing our legs around, coming onto our sits bones. Bringing the bottoms of your feet pressed in towards each other, coming to a butterfly pose. Inhaling to lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, maybe walking your fingertips out in front of you. Making sure not to round out your back here. Keeping it nice and lifted. As you slowly lower, feeling a stretch in your hips. Maybe sending your feet out a little bit more in front of you for a gentler stretch, or bringing them a little bit closer in towards your body for a more intense stretch. Another option is to send your hands underneath your ankles with your elbows pressed onto your legs. Keeping your shoulders pressed down. Breathing into the stretch. With every exhale, becoming a little bit more comfortable in this pose. And inhale, lifting back up, sending your left leg out towards the side. Bring your right foot in so it's touching the inside of your thigh. Inhaling your arms up overhead and exhaling to bend over that leg. Maybe you reach your toes, maybe you come to fingertips on either side of that leg. Inhaling to lengthen your spine and exhaling to fold. Continuing to breathe here. Maybe your breaths are starting to get a little bit deeper as you start to relax. Inhale, walking your fingertips back up towards your body and switching out your legs. Inhaling the arms overhead and exhaling to fold over that leg. Inhaling to lengthen your spine, exhaling to fold. Coming to wherever you can feel that stretch in the back of your leg. Flexing the foot. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Inhale, slowly rising back up and making your way onto your back. Hugging your knees into your chest. Gently rocking side to side. Giving your back a little bit of a massage. Maybe closing your eyes. And then grabbing your big toes with your peace fingers, going to happy baby. Maybe rocking side to side. Maybe lengthening your legs. And then inhale, hug your knees back into your chest. And as you exhale, sending those knees across your body towards the right side. Bringing your arms to a T, keeping both shoulders pressed on the mat. Gazing in the opposite direction of your knees, letting your eyes softly close. Breathing into this twist. Quieting your mind. Inhaling your knees back to center, hugging them in one more time. And exhale, sending them towards the opposite side. Arms come to a T, keeping your shoulders planted. Letting your eyes close. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Inhaling to bring the knees back to center. Hugging them into your chest one last time. If there's any last poses you'd like to take to seal out your practice, feel free to take those now. Or when you're ready, sending your legs long onto the mat, coming into Shavasana, making any final adjustments to make yourself as comfortable as possible. Maybe your hands are palms up to receive energy, or maybe your palms are facing down to feel grounded. Letting your breaths become natural. Closing your eyes. Quieting your mind. And taking a moment to rest. Slowly start to bring some awareness back into your breath. Deepening your inhales, lengthening your exhales. Maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe drawing circles with your wrists and your ankles. Starting to wake up your body and your mind. And whenever you're ready, inhaling your arms over your head, coming to a full body stretch, reaching your fingertips and your toes far away from each other. And as you exhale, rolling onto one side, bending your knees, using your bicep as a pillow, keeping your eyes closed. Maybe you set an intention at the beginning of class, maybe coming back to that intention. Taking a breath here. I encourage you all to think of something that you're grateful for. It's amazing how your mood can shift when it's more focused on the things that are grateful, the good things in your life, rather than those that are less than good. Bringing more of your energy towards positivity. As you inhale, making your way to a seated position, keeping your eyes closed. Inhaling your arms overhead, bringing your palms to touch, and as you exhale, slowly lowering them down, bringing them across your forehead for kind thoughts, towards your mouth for kind words, and to your heart for kind intentions towards yourself and others. Namaste means the light in me honors and appreciates the light in each of you. Namaste.